6:30, I'd like to call the Planning Development Committee to order, please.
Counselor Walker.
Here.
Counselor McBrearty. Counselor Cordino.
Here. Could I get a motion to approve the minutes for July 18th, 2022? Counselor Cordino, Counselor McBrearty.
Counselor Walker.
Yes.
Counselor McBrearty.
Yes.
Counselor Cordino.
Yes.
Is there any old business? Seeing none, we'll go right to communication. The Zoning and Planning Office requests that the public hearing to be scheduled for the properties known as 191 and 193 Fifth Ave for the proposed zone change from TN2 Traditional Neighborhood 2 to TB Traditional Business pursuant to section of 280-96 of the zoning ordinance. So, we got Mr. McGann up here to speak on
So
this.
if anybody has any questions on that, you have seen this before. As you know, the process is about 3 months long for a zone change. Once planning board comes back to you guys to go for a public hearing for exactly what you mentioned. It's currently a TN2. It's right across from traditional business zone. There's actually a piece of property that Mr. Vespoli had rezoned about 1.5 years ago. Right directly across from that, kind of for the same reason, to open up the options of possibly doing more multi-families where there's the existing lodges down there now at the very dead end, south end of Fifth Ave.
Okay.
Between Mr. Paul Dean and Mr. Vaspoli, they own the majority of that area.
Thank you. Anybody have any questions? No, could I get a motion to put this to, pull it forward, please?
I just wanted to say as Fifth Ward Councilor that I am in favor of this, and Tony does great work, and so I just wanted to make sure to be on the record, let you know I support it.
Okay, thanks, Mr. Gozick. Now we'll get a motion. Counselor Cordino, Counselor McBrearty.
Counselor Walker.
Yes.
Counselor McBrearty.
Yes.
Counselor Cordino.
Yes.
Okay, go to adjournment, please. Could I have a motion to adjourn? Counselor Cordino, Counselor McBrearty.
Counselor Walker.
Yes.
Counselor McBrearty.
Yes.
Counselor Cordino.
Yes.
At this time, I'd like to call the Physical Services Committee meeting for August 15th, 2022 to order. Please call the roll.
Counselor Hill.
Here.
Counselor Burridge.
Here.
Counselor Walker.
Here.
Counselor Gozick.
Here.
Could I have a motion to approve the minutes of our August 1st, 2022 meeting? Counselor Burridge, Counselor Gozick.
Counselor Hill.
Yes.
Counselor Burridge.
Yes.
Counselor Walker.
Yes.
Counselor Gozick.
Yes.
Is there any old business to come before this committee? Seeing none, we'll move on to new business under communication. Item number 1, the Community Development Office received a request from Melbert Della Penna of Upward Graphics regarding a charity car show to be held on September 24th, 2022 from 12 p.m. to 5 p.m. Is anyone here to speak to this event? I see Mr. Della Penna's in the audience. I'll just give him the chance to, just if anyone has any questions or if you want to say a few words.
Yeah, it's gonna be a car show for the benefit of the two Oswego nonprofit organization, Dason's House and Victory Transformations.
Excellent. Do any of the counselors have any questions for Mr. Della Penna? Nope. Looks like it's going to be a good event. Okay. Great. Could I have a motion, please? Counselor Walker, Counselor Burridge.
Counselor Hill.
Yes.
Counselor Burridge.
Yes.
Counselor Walker.
Yes.
Counselor Gozick.
Yes.
Okay, you're all set.
Thank
We'll go
you.
to the full council on Monday. Item number 2, the Community Development Office received a request from Magdalena Rivera for a block party to be held on September 10th, 2022 from 4:30 p.m. to 9 p.m. Anyone here to speak to this item? Don't see anyone. Any questions or concerns from the council? Okay. Could I have a motion, please? Counselor Gozick, Counselor Burridge.
Counselor Hill.
Yes.
Counselor Burridge.
Yes.
Counselor Walker.
Yes.
Counselor Gozick.
Yes.
And item number 3, the Community Development Office received a request from John Fitzgibbons for a block party to be held on September 24th, 2022 from 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. Any questions or concerns on this request? Okay. Could I have a motion, please? Counselor Burridge, Counselor Walker.
Counselor Hill.
Yes.
Counselor Burridge.
Yes.
Counselor Walker.
Yes.
Counselor Gozick.
Yes.
Any other business to come before this committee? Seeing none, I'll take a motion to adjourn. Counselor Walker, Counselor Gozick.
Counselor Hill.
Yes.
Counselor Burridge.
Yes.
Counselor Walker.
Yes.
Counselor Gozick.
Yes.
All right, at this time, I'd like to open the Administrative Services Committee meeting for August 15th. Please call the roll.
Counselor Cordino.
Here.
Counselor McBrearty. Counselor Hill.
Here.
Counselor Plunkett.
Here.
Counselor Burridge.
Here.
I'd like a motion to approve the minutes of the August 1st, 2022 committee meeting. Counselor Plunkett, Counselor Hill.
Counselor Cordino.
Yes.
Counselor McBrearty. Counselor Hill.
Yes.
Counselor Plunkett.
Yes.
Counselor Burridge.
Yes.
Any old business? Seeing none. Item number 1, under communication, Mayor William J. Barlow Jr. requests a budget amendment to the garage equipment account in the amount of $139,173.58, and authorization to purchase and accept the bid from Robert Green Auto and Truck Incorporated for 4 Dodge Durango vehicles to serve as city-wide pool vehicles. Mr. Mayor?
So we held a mini bid for 4 vehicles to really serve as pool cars for city government. 2 of them specifically will go to the building and permitting office and the code enforcement office. Right now, we actually have city employees getting in their personal vehicle to go out to do inspections or code enforcement. Obviously, that poses a liability issue, but more in terms of safety for both the public and our employees. Code enforcers or the building inspectors, they go into people's backyards, front lawns, can go and walk around the exterior of a house or a larger building if they're looking at something, and without identifying who they are, someone inside could, think it's some stranger walking around their house, and if they look outside and it's someone's personal vehicle, then they really have no idea what's going on. So we'll get these Durangos in, and for the code enforcement office and building and permitting, we'll get some letters on them so people know who and what they're doing. And then one will be for the police department, and then one is for the DPW. Right now, it's kind of the same thing. A lot of the DPW administrative staff at the garage will have to come over to personnel or city hall to do city business or run to the water plant or another city building, the rinks or marina. And right now, they're taking their personal car, so it makes sense to get a 4th one for them as well. This mini bid obviously was the most fair way to do it, so we held that bid, and this bid came back lowest.
All right, thank you, Mayor. Any questions from the council for the mayor on this one? From the public? Seeing none, can I have a motion, please? Counselor McBrearty, Counselor Hill.
Counselor Cordino.
Yes.
Counselor McBrearty. Yes. Counselor Hill.
Yes.
Counselor Plunkett.
Yes.
Counselor Burridge.
Yes.
And who shall be writing that resolution?
The mayor's office for now.
Okay.
Item number 2, Mayor William J. Barlow Jr. requests approval of bids submitted by W.D. Malone Trucking for the Riverwalk West Wall Sidewalk Reconstruction Project. Mr. Mayor?
This is an exciting project that will get set up probably to take place next year, but this is the West Linear Riverwalk from the Bridey Manor area up to the end of the walk by the post office and where the switchback ramp currently is, and where the pavilion area used to be. This is funding coming from our 2017 FEMA allocation, where we had $1.7 million for this area set aside, and damages caused by the high water that actually on the lake that actually pushed up into the river area. So we sent out the bid for that, and you'll see the 2 bids in your packet came back. W.D. Malone, $1.9 million, and John Dudley, $2.7 million. Obviously, we'll go with the low bid. We've done quite a bit of work with W.D. With some other lakeshore restoration projects, and they do good work, so we feel comfortable accepting their bid and moving forward.
All right, thank you. Any questions from the council on this one? Counselor?
Yeah, just a comment, a lot of the river walk there being in the 5th Ward, I know my constituents that live down along the river, and obviously the whole community and people that come to Oswego are gonna benefit from it, but are really grateful and appreciate that this work's gonna be coming up here, and the river walk's been there for almost half a century now, and it definitely needs some work with the underpinnings and just the aesthetics along there. have been compromised over the years, so I'm really excited, and I know a lot of my constituents are very happy that this project's going to be starting up, so just wanted to put that on the record.
All right, thank you. Counselor, any comments from the public? Seeing none, can I have a motion, please? Counselor Plunkett, Counselor Hill.
Counselor Cordino?
Yes.
Counselor McBroody? Yes. Counselor Hill?
Yes.
Counselor Plunkett?
Yes.
Counselor Burridge?
Yes.
Item number 3, Code Enforcement Director Kurt Miller requests discussion concerning a budget amendment to the Code Enforcement Contracted Services account. I don't see Mr. Miller here, but Mr. Mayer's here.
Yeah, this is just what it says, budget amendment to the contracted service account. I think every year we put in 40,000, maybe, I can't remember, 40 or 50,000, I can't recall off the top of my head. But this is the account that we send the contractor to go remediate code violations that don't get picked up in time. So we're asking for an amendment to that budget because, unfortunately it's more money, but the good news is code enforcement's out and active identifying sources of blight and unkept property and getting the situations fixed and getting property owners to fix their homes and property. So this also, I'll point out, is money that when the contractor does have to mow the lawn or pick up trash or fix the home, the property owner pays that fine and the fee, and then the work performed actually goes on their tax bill. Obviously, it takes, most of the sources of blight are rentals, so it takes time to get that money back that we actually tack on, so we'll be fronting this while we wait for them to pay their taxes with the fees and fines on the tax bill.
All right, thank you. Any questions from the council on this one, from the public? Seeing none, can I have a motion, please? Counselor Burridge, Counselor Hill.
Counselor Cordino?
Yes.
Counselor McBroody? Yes. Counselor Hill?
Yes.
Counselor Plunkett?
Yes.
Counselor Burridge?
Yes.
Item number 4, Fire Chief Randall B. Griffin requests an intra-departmental transfer of funds in order to complete the required electronic upgrades to Marine One. Chief?
Good evening, how are you? So this is, excuse me, so we purchased some equipment to upgrade the technology on Marine One. You're talking 2012, 2013 technology. This is particularly relevant as of late. We were requested to Sodus Bay by the Fulton Police Department to assist them in a search for a missing woman who remains missing, unfortunately. Our equipment is somewhat dated. Think about your cell phone and how new your cell phone is. We're talking about 2012, 2013 technology that we're using right now. The other case was in Sandy Pond where, in the end, a fisherman was the one that found the deceased person beneath the water. So we're looking to upgrade the technology on the boat, not only under the water, but above the water as well, with cameras and things like that. Much of the equipment we've already purchased. This is a transfer to get that equipment that we purchased installed. There's been some customization and things like that with screens that gave us an overrun, so because that is going to be custom made for the dash of the boat. So this is going to give us the funds in order to do that.
Just for clarification, according to the resolution, it's $8,000.
Correct.
Any questions for our chief, from the council, from the public? Again, need a motion. Counselor Plunkett, Counselor Burridge.
Counselor Cordino?
Yes.
Counselor McBroody? Yes. Counselor Hill?
Yes.
Counselor Plunkett?
Yes.
Counselor Burridge?
Yes.
Item number 5, Fire Chief Randall B. Griffin requests discussion regarding a cancer screening program. Chief?
Yes, I believe Ms. Code is going to also assist, or no, she's going to sit there? Okay. Only if needed. So there's a number of cities across the state that are beginning to do cancer screening early in its members. We found out that cancer actually is the leading cause of death amongst firefighters. We believed it to be cardiac disease before, but now, because we're actually tracking it, cancers have become more of a problem. NIOSH reports that a firefighter is 9% more likely to come down with some sort of cancer. In New York State, we have presumptive legislation that says if you're disabled due to a cancer, most of those cancers we presume to be occupational exposure that caused the cancer. So what we're looking to do is, with our insurance, you have to be over the age of 50 before you start getting cancer screened. Half of our members are below the age of 40. So what we're looking to do is contract with a company that will come here to Oswego. It's a voluntary basis. It's a flat rate fee, and they come in and do cancer screening. Similar to, you might have seen, some of you have seen the cardiac screening that goes around. This is the same type of thing. It's a flat rate fee of $300 for all of our participants. Schenectady Fire Department recently went to this program and saw an increase of 90%. More participation because the screeners come to the fire department, come here to Oswego. We don't have to go out. The city of Syracuse is looking to supplement their program, which is currently through Upstate Hematology Oncology, where they have very limited participation, to this type of thing. First of all, because you can start screening at a lower age for the same rate, and two, they hope to increase participation because it's offered rate at fire stations. Anything you want to? Anything I missed? Right, and I've skipped over the fact of the benefit to this of actually catching the cancer early in an employee. So obviously the health benefit to them and their family, but also to the city of that employee being disabled for a period of time or permanently disabled from an occupational exposure to cancer. So if we can screen, we can find this cancer early, hopefully they can get treatment early. Again, it's a voluntary basis, so we're not forcing anybody to do it, but hopefully we can encourage them to get screened, and my hope is that we have employees that can one day say, I'm alive today because I work for the city of Oswego.
All right, thank you. Our firefighters put their lives on the line every day, and I think this is the least we can do is to try to help them and do this cancer screening so we can prevent any future problems. Any questions or comments? Yes, Councilor Walker.
Is this just for the fire department or citywide employees?
Right now, it's just for the fire department, but I don't know if you want to speak to that as the administrator of that, no? Right now, it's for the fire service, just because NIOSH has reported. Now, in the future, that's certainly something, we are offering cardiac screening. We're just allowing to use the facility. It's paid for by your insurance. In order to do that, that could be certainly opened up to other folks, other city employees. But the cancer screening we're talking about right now would be, kind of a trial basis with the fire department, and if there was, the big thing is the occupational exposure. The fact that, studies show that we're predisposed to cancers. If we're seeing that in law enforcement, other public safety, maybe in this program works, I don't see why you wouldn't be able to expand its purpose.
All right, again, any questions, concerns? Seeing none, can I have a motion, please? Councilor McBurney, Councilor Burridge.
Counselor Cordino?
Yes.
Counselor McBroody? Yes. Counselor Hill?
Yes.
Counselor Plunkett?
Yes.
Counselor Burridge?
Yes.
Item number 6, Deputy Chief of Police Zachary Mizell requests permission for the City Chamberlain to accept a donation from First Responder Children's Foundation in the amount of $5,000. Is there anybody here to speak to that? Is anybody? I don't see anybody here, but I would think a $5,000 donation shouldn't have too many questions attached to it. Can I have a motion, please? Counselor Hill, Counselor Plunkett.
Counselor Cordino?
Yes.
Counselor Burridge?
Yes.
Counselor Hill?
Yes.
Counselor Plunkett?
Yes.
Counselor McBroody?
Item number 7, the City Chamberlain requests authorization to complete a transfer of funds from the Personal General Fund contingent account to the Zoning Board Personal Services account in the amount of $7,500 for secretarial support. Is there anybody here to speak to this? Mr. McGann, our zoning administrator, you want to expand on this a little bit?
Yeah. Unfortunately, a few months ago, we lost Lori Mangano to a job outside the city. She was my administrative assistant for all the permitting. At an unfortunate time, beginning of May, when our busy season was beginning, so we tossed around the idea of what we were going to do for a replacement, as it was a tough time to train somebody to come in. And what we did was came up with the idea of proposing it to Morgan from the assessment department, because she was familiar with the whole system. And their assessment's busy season opposes our busy season. Their busy season is in the winter when it's a little bit slower for us. We did that kind of on a trial basis. It's worked out excellent. So basically, Lori's position that was with, that fell under code enforcement, sees a good savings in that. And this is the compensation for Morgan for taking on the extra duties.
All right, thank you. Any questions for Mr. McGann from the council, from the public? Seems like a sensible thing to do. We're limiting one salary and paying another person to do this job for a lot less. Can I have a motion, please? Counselor Burge, Counselor McBurney.
Counselor Cordino.
Yes.
Counselor McBurney. Counselor Hill.
Yes.
Counselor Plunkett.
Yes.
Counselor Burridge.
Yes.
Item number 8, City Engineer Jeff Hinderleiter requests the Common Council approve the New York State lead service line replacement project. Mr. Hinderleiter?
Good evening. I'll try not to belabor you with too many details, but this is an important one, an important program. The State of New York Department of Health, they collect data on all of our children. They take blood samples every year from our community and from communities around the state. And one of the things that they monitor during that are lead levels. And that process, in conjunction with an elevated concern about the effects of lead in children and our population, has prompted not just New York State, but the EPA, the federal government, to start looking at eliminating lead from our drinking water. And so New York State created a lead service line replacement program that's intended to fund residential homes to have their service line replaced from the water main right into the house at no cost to the homeowner. City of Oswego, because of our population level with young people and the amount of lead that was found, qualified us for the program, and we were awarded the grant of over $500,000. It's actually $534,907. And this is a program that will cost the City of Oswego nothing, and it costs our residents nothing for us to create this and to start eliminating lead services. This will, just to give you an idea, this amount of money will cover somewhere between 100 and 150 services. So in the city, we have about over 8,000 services, so it's a small start to a really important project. But what's nice is this one won't cost people that we offer this to. It won't cost them anything. Now, the next natural question is, well, who are we picking? Who are we picking for this program? And so we are actually targeting, with the recent census data, we are going to be targeting areas of what we call environmental justice. And these are areas that the state and the federal government have identified as places of low income, high minority populations, young people, single-parent homes, things of that nature, that these areas tend to be a concentration point for problems. What we find is those people tend to have the lowest income, so they can afford the lowest housing, which also tends to be the homes that aren't invested in at the highest rates, and because the rents are low, so it's hard to turn that money back and invest it in a property. And so we're going to be targeting those areas using the data that's available from the recent census, using the data that we have about our community to try to target areas in our community where we can do the most good with this to the people who have the least opportunity to do it. So as this program develops, I'll keep you posted on what those look like, and we're going to identify the properties and start moving forward on scoping the work and getting the work scheduled.
One quick question, what's your time frame if this does pass and we go forward on this? What's your time frame in implementation and completion?
Yeah, so you'll see another resolution coming with this to have GHD help me out. This program was awarded to the city in 2019, early 2019. I started with the city in late 2019, and this project showed up on my desk as, hey, we got this money, let's do something with it. I think it goes without saying, my office is busy, And this has been a project that I've been picking at amidst all the other work. So we've lost some time on the grant time. However, we stand in a good position that if we get this out this fall, which is why I'm bringing GHD on, to help me put the bid documents together so that it qualifies, we'll be able to potentially start that work this fall, but then complete it by June of next year.
All right, thank you. Any questions from the council on this one? Councilor Walker?
So we're contracting it out to a company to do the work, so the city is not doing it then, correct?
Correct. Yep, I had spoken with the DPW commissioner, the former commissioner, the current commissioner, and their workload is high. And so this made sense to find, we're going to hopefully be able to use a local plumber. It's required.
Right.
And so we'll be able to try to keep the money local as well, not necessarily go with a big outfit. But yeah, it'll be done by a contractor, which helps us keep things accountable and hold them accountable and make sure the project's done right.
Thank you.
Can you expand on something, you and I discussed this morning.
Sure.
Can you share with everybody the testing? You mentioned how they actually go down the curb stop and they
Sure.
figure out whether it's lead or what it is. Can you
Yeah.
share that with everybody?
Yeah, so to give some context to that, the EPA has passed new rules about lead and copper in our waters, like I said, as a result of some of these things, such as Flint, Michigan, and other communities that have had trouble with lead. It's prompted the government as a whole to try to address this issue. And so one of the impacts of that is that by 2024, we have to have an inventory of our entire water system, and we have to identify on that inventory what the material is for every water service that goes to every property in the city, both on the city side and the customer side. And that information then has to be disseminated into a format that the public can access and understand. And so it's a big undertaking to do. So one of the small ways we're starting to implement that is in this program. We are going to be following suit with some other communities and how they've done it. So as the counselor said, one of the methods of doing that is we have taken, my engineering aide has literally taken 8,000 plus water service cards and retyped them into a database so that we have all that information. We can then use that database as a starting point and look at the age of the house, look at building permits when permits have been pulled, and identify a good candidate for lead, as I said, in those environmental justice areas. We can then go to the site, and if we remove the valve box cover, so there's a valve for the corporation, that there's a stop that lets us service the line if we need to, we'll be able to put a camera down that valve and be able to witness what the valve connection looks like. And from that, we'll have a pretty good assessment if it's lead or if it's galvanized. If you have a galvanized line downstream of lead, they tend to have lead build up inside of them over time. And so we'll start to, once we identify the first pool of properties, we will go to those properties utilizing city staff to inspect those water boxes and try to get a sense, get access to the property, and we can look on the inside for an inspection and try to confirm as many as we can that are actually lead and work on getting it replaced.
So basically, at that point, there wouldn't be much digging involved at
Nope.
that stage.
Nope, at this early stage, there won't be any digging. And if we go down and we see that somebody replaced it with copper and the city did copper at some point and it just wasn't documented, we'll document it and remove it from the lead inventory and keep moving.
All right, very good. Any other concerns or questions from the counselor? From the public?
And to emphasize, it's a $0 match grant. So the point of what the resolution is doing is earmarking the money so that we can start the work and voucher against it, and then the state will reimburse it.
All right, thank you. Anybody else? Seeing none, can I have a motion, please? Counselor McBrearty, Counselor Hill.
Counselor Cordino?
Yes.
Counselor McBrearty? Yes. Counselor Hill?
Yes.
Counselor Plunkett?
Yes.
Counselor Burridge?
Yes. Item number 9, City Engineer Jeff Hinderleiter requests approval of the proposal submitted by GHD Consulting Services Incorporated to produce the necessary bid documents for the lead service line replacement project in the amount of $38,500. Mr. Hinderleiter, I guess you assumed that item number 8 was going to pass.
Yes, I counted on it.
Yes.
I figured $0 is a good deal. for the city. So the intention of this is, I have a very small staff. Because of the timeline of this project, it is compressed and it's hard. I have to supplement my staff to be able to pull this project off. And so I negotiated with GHD, talked to them. They've been advising me kind of pro bono on this lead stuff anyways. And so they offered to help me. I reached out and said, well, I need someone just to pull these documents together to get them ready to bid and get them out to bid. And so this price is that. Most of the work has been completed by myself or my staff. As far as the data collection and the heavy lifting, this is really administrative work to pull it all together, the bidding service to take questions and kind of be able to administer that part and make sure that it all meets the grant guidelines, which is important for reimbursement.
All right, thank you. Any questions from the council? From the public? Can I have a motion, please? Councilor Burge, Councilor Plunkett.
Counselor Cordino.
Yes.
Counselor McBrearty. Counselor Hill.
Yes.
Counselor Plunkett.
Yes.
Counselor Burridge.
Yes.
Item number 10, City Engineer Jeff Hinderleiter requests approval of the proposal submitted by GHD Consulting Services Incorporated to assist with the lead and copper rule revisions in the amount of $85,000. Jeff?
So as I said about the changes that have been happening legislatively, part of the lead copper rule changes are this inventory and coming up with a plan for what happens. Right now, our early indications are we're not going to hit the mandate level, which would be that we have a certain amount of lead in the water that the government feels you must deal with. We're not anticipating that we're going to hit that based on our previous testing that we've done in the city. However, because of the way that the laws are written, we need to be ready for that. We need to be ready because the testing methods are changing. We haven't tested the way that they want before. So we're not, it's kind of a moving target as this rule is being implemented and coming out. So as a result, some of this is new and it changes every few months. And again, I have reached out to various firms, GHD being one of them, for advice. And so what this proposal does is create a relationship that allows me to bring them on as advisors, owner's advisors. And basically the amount that you're allocating is kind of an up to this amount, that as I need assistance in navigating these, or if we need help figuring out how the fifth leader testing or tracking or setting information up, that they'll have staff for that. So one of the things I mentioned, and you'll see it in your packet, in the mapping section, there's actually a picture in the proposal of a GIS map, and that's one of the things they're going to be doing. As I said, my engineering aide had created this database. One of the things they're going to be doing is taking that database and turning it into a map. And that map will be able to be posted to the city website, so residents will be able to go to the city website, look up their property, and identify if the city has done work to see, is it lead, is it copper, is it galvanized, what the material is, so that they can be aware of how their property is being serviced. That's, again, one of the requirements of this lead copper rule, are that we have the ability for residents to know where their water's coming from. And so we're bringing GHD on board to take the work that me and my staff have already done and to kind of get it across the finish line for us so that we are in compliance. To give you an example of this, the pressure of this, my office received a letter from the Oswego County Department of Health just kindly reminding us that by October 2023, our inventory needs to be on their desk. And so part of it is we need to get this done. Again, small staff. This is a way for me to supplement my staff and to get this done in a way that helps our community and helps us make decisions going forward on our water system.
You mentioned you had consulted several companies in regards to this project, but I only saw GHD having provided pricing. Did you ask for pricing from anybody else, or were you not comfortable?
I didn't. Some of it comes to the relationship that I have with some of the other companies that I asked. GHD has been proactive in this. Like I said, they've provided me training, and at no cost. I have bothered their project manager, and then the water group. He drove from Buffalo here and spent a day with me talking about lead copper rules. Showing me what he's doing in other communities. looking at our data, helping us and providing that help to us. And they've been very helpful and very knowledgeable. And so I felt that at this point, because of the timeline, they know our system better than most because of the work they've been doing on our consent decree work. They know our water system, they know our DPW, they know and they work with me. And so there's an efficiency that we're gonna realize just by using them. And for time's sake, to try to solicit all those proposals, being that this was under our purchasing rule of the 150,000, I felt it appropriate just to move forward with GHD so that I could get this project moving and get the inventory done.
All right, I appreciate that information. Any other questions or concerns? Yes, Counselor Hill.
Yeah, task 3 of the agreement is funding assistance for, from the EFC under the BIL program. So this is additional funding that we may qualify for in addition to the $534,000?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yep.
Now, is that work completed since it's due in a week from when we vote on this?
Unfortunately, no,
Is it going to be completed?
probably not, just because
So
by,
this should not be included, or?
so this task will transform that they're going to get us onto the next round of funding. So what had happened when this came up was that grant program had been announced and had been moving. And it was one of those, when I got this proposal and our timing to get it on agenda, it was, if you give us a thumbs up, we'll start on this and we'll get it done. I wasn't quite comfortable telling them, spend this money, until we had a chance to lay it before the council. Sometimes things are critical and we do that, but this time, there are going to be more and more opportunities of this happening. There's a record level of investment from the federal government and from the state government in this. This is just the first round. What we were successful in submitting, as we discussed at a council meeting ago, was the Ellen Street Water Tower project. So I had focused my intention and their time on getting that project going and moving, and then had told them, we'll get this one there too. So there will certainly be opportunities. That task will be there. The dates obviously will change, but they're going to engage in that and help us get that money to our community.
Okay. Yeah, the
Good question.
proposal is dated the 5th, which is 10 days ago, and it's written as if it's likely that it could be done by the deadline. It was kind of included as a, like a sweetener almost. So
I can
if
ask.
that's not the case, maybe it shouldn't be in front of us, and maybe it should be indicated in the language that the intent was it to be for the next round, not to try to lead us into signing an agreement when it's not going to actually get done. So it just, it puts a little pressure on us by saying it's due by August 31st of this year. So maybe we should look into that.
So just for clarity on my side, when I call GHD tomorrow, would you like me as the counselors to ask them to try to meet this deadline, or do you want a revised proposal?
Of course, we want
for
any
next
money
week?
that's
Okay.
available as soon
Okay.
as possible, especially if they're going to include it as, you know, something
Sure.
positive to encourage us to sign the contract.
Sure, understood.
All right, anybody else on the council? From the public? Can I have a motion, please? Counselor Plunkett, Counselor McBurney.
Counselor Cordino.
Yes.
Counselor McBurdy. Counselor Hill.
Yes.
Counselor Plunkett.
Yes.
Counselor Burridge.
Yes.
Any other business? Seeing none, can I have a motion to adjourn? Counselor McBurney, Counselor Burridge.
Counselor Cordino.
Yes.
Counselor McBurdy. Counselor Hill.
Yes.
Counselor Plunkett.
Yes.
Counselor Burridge.
Yes.